Hi everyone, my name is Haley and welcome back or welcome to my channel. So for today's video, as you can tell by the title, we are doing a pretty big book unhaul. I don't remember the last time I actually unhauled some of my books, and when I do unhaul my books, I'm like on the edge of some of them, so I kept them and time has gone by and I just realized that I don't need them. I'm not going to get around to them anytime soon. A lot of these I bought when I was still working at Barnes & Noble, so I got my discount or I get them from secondhand shops and stuff like that. So most of these I did not buy full price, and after I stopped working at a bookstore, I realized I probably shouldn't buy books willy-nilly when I'm not getting that 40% off discount. So a lot of these I did not pay full price for, and there's a lot, so I'm not just wasting my money. But anyway, with that out of the way, I'm sure you can see a little bit of it here, but there is maybe like 25 books here. So I'm just going to go through them one by one, let you know what they're about, why I'm not going to continue to have them in my collection, and anything else that comes to my mind about them. So without further ado, let's just get into it. They're in no particular order, it's just how they're stacked on my bed here. But the first one I have is The Bird and the Blade by Megan Bannon. I don't remember where I got this from. It might have been Book Outlet, and it was cheap, so I was like, I'm in my YA fantasy era, let's just get it and see what it's about. But I think I've had this for probably going on 2 years now, and not once have I thought about picking it up. Okay, this is a pretty long synopsis, so I'm just gonna read you the little sentence at the end. It says, "The Bird and the Blade is a lush, powerful story of life and death, battles and riddles, lies and secrets," from debut author Megan Bannon. But I don't know, I didn't really know much about it when I bought it, which was my first mistake, and I just don't think it's for me. I was really into YA fantasy, I still am, but I'm not picking up as many as I used to, and this one's just not speaking to me. Next book is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I remember reading like a couple pages. Look, where's my bookmark? Literally in page 2. I remember reading a couple more pages than page 2, and I don't know if I liked the writing style of it or there's just something that made me not keep going. But this is about a girl and she's a gumiho, I think I'm saying that correctly, and that is a nine-tailed fox, and she survives by consuming the energy of men, which awesome. There is one rule, and it's to never reveal that she is a nine-tailed fox, but there is a boy that she meets who is being tracked and hunted by something in the woods, and she reveals herself to him to save his life, but along the way she loses her fox bead, and without it she will not survive. I do really love lore in books and like mythology in books, but I don't know, for some reason when I picked this up it just didn't entice me to keep going. It definitely is still on my radar, so if I want to read it down the line I'll get it from the library or something, but for now it's just taking up space on my shelf and I want that space for other stuff. Let me know if you read this though, because I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Next is The Roommate by Rosie Danon. This is about this girl who moves, I think, to Los Angeles, and she is supposed to live with her friend that she has a crush on, but he ends up not going through the plan and rents his room out to someone else named Josh. And Josh is an adult film star, and Clara is now living with him, and Clara believes that like women deserve better, you know, in the bedroom, and he was like, okay, well, I can show you that. So it's a rom-com, and she's like a very rich socialite from the East Coast. He's this guy that is an adult film star, and they're living together. For his proximity, strike up a deal to do that stuff. I made it to chapter 11, but I don't know, it wasn't really keeping my attention. I really liked the premise, but for some reason I just wasn't connecting with the characters. I didn't really care about the romance or anything like that. And then we have The Secret Bridesmaid by Katie Burchell. I know I got this from Book Outlet because I had never heard of it and it was like $3, and I was like, okay, let me try this out. I've never picked it up. It's about this girl who is a full-time bridesmaid, so she gets hired to like fill up these wedding parties, and then she gets hired for a wedding, and the girl is an absolute diva and she wants to make the main character's life a nightmare. But the main character, Sophie, is also attracted to the bride's older brother, who is off limits. I haven't picked it up. I've had it for a long time, and I don't know if I'm coming out of my rom-com era and going into like, I've been reading a lot of small town romance, so maybe that's the vibe I'm going for now. But I've learned with romance books that I should probably read them on my Kindle first before buying them. Next, we have Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the companion novel to It Happened One Summer. This is about Fox and Hannah. They're best friends. I think they're living together and they're both like secret pining, but don't want to ruin the friendship and everything like that. I really enjoyed It Happened One Summer, but I just couldn't get into this. I didn't really care for Hannah and Fox's romance, I guess. I don't know. This one just wasn't hitting the same, and I don't know if it's because I read them too close together, but I got 95 pages through and then I stopped. It just wasn't capturing my attention, and we all know that they're gonna end up together anyway, so I don't feel like I'm really missing out on anything here. Okay, next is An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I'm literally like exactly halfway through of this book, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe I should keep it and reread it because it is about fairies and stuff like that, which I love, and it's a standalone. So you know what, embarrassing, but I think I might keep this, and if I don't read it within the next few months, I will unhaul it. But this one has been saved by my indecisiveness. Next is Angela Frankenstein Makes Her Match, and this is actually an ARC that I got when I was still working at Barnes & Noble, so I know I can't sell these, but I'm pretty sure I can just donate it. And it's by Sally Thorne, who also wrote The Hating Game. Fun fact, The Hating Game was like the first romance book I ever read, and I gave it 5 stars, but I think looking back on it, that was just my naive little brain. So I might go back and reread it and see if I would still give it 5 stars, because I've read so many better romance books since then, but it was just like the door into the genre for me. And then I've also heard that this is just not very good, so it's just taking up space on my shelf. I don't really need it. It's about Angelica Frankenstein, and her brother brings to life a reassembled man, and I guess she falls in love with him. I don't know. Very interesting. I picked it up because it was free and I thought I was gonna read it, but I don't think I'm going to ever get to this. Next is a twofer. It is The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. The best way to describe this is enemies to lovers to enemies to lovers, I guess. I read the first one, I read a little bit of the second one, and I didn't care. I didn't want to finish it, and there's no point in keeping the first one if I'm not gonna keep the second one. And I think she like is sent to infiltrate a kingdom, but she ends up falling in love with the prince, but then I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I know she has a new book coming out soon, and I think it pulls from Norse mythology, so I will be checking that out, but not buying the physical copy because I think if I unhaul or don't like a book from an author, I'm more hesitant obviously to buy a new book from them, so I probably will check out that new series, but not physically. The covers are really pretty though. It's a big reason why I bought it, honestly, so I need to control that part of me when I'm shopping for books. Moving right along. The next one we have is The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. I remember being really excited for this because it just sounded fun and like a cute little Halloween read. I tried to read a little bit of it physically and then I switched to the audiobook, and it just wasn't really doing it for me. I don't know if it was just a little too, not childish, but the character was pretty young. I think she's like 15 or something, and I just nothing was keeping me interested. But I know the premise is like this girl who is pretty young. She is a medium and people hire her to come and like exorcise their houses and stuff, but she encounters this little boy who died, but he won't like crossover or something like that, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's just about him or if there's other ghosts, but I didn't make it very far. I think maybe 100 pages. It's not capturing my attention. Next we have Crave, and I'm pretty sure that my friend gifted this to me, so that's why I've held on to it for so long, because I feel bad if I like unhaul something that was given to me. But there's just no way that I'm ever gonna finish this series. I've already watched spoiler reading vlogs because I was not gonna spend the time reading it, and I just wanted to see what happened. I did read the first one, and I know it's like a self-aware type of book where it is talking in a very cringy teenage way, but on purpose, but my brain still doesn't like it, so it was really hard for me to get through, and I just can't see myself reading the rest of it ever, so I'm going to unhaul this. If you don't know, this is about a girl whose parents die in a car accident, so she is sent to live with her uncle, and he is like the headmaster at this school, and she comes to find out that the school has vampires and werewolves and witches and everything like that, so she as a human is trying to navigate it all. I would love this, or a premise like this, if it was just written for an adult audience. Next, I have A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I've had this for probably 2 or 3 years now, and again, I have never picked it up. I have picked it up actually. I did read a few chapters, but I don't know. I don't know if it was I wasn't in the right mind, or if it's just a little too YA for me now. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure this girl is like, yeah, she's like walking down the street and she tries to save someone, and then she gets transported into this magical world, and there's a curse that she needs to break in order to save the kingdom. I don't know. There's 3 books in the series. I don't know how good the series gets. I'm sure I would really like it if I was in the mood for like a YA series that has fairies and magic, because I do love that. Like The Cruel Prince and the Shadowhunter series are one of my all-time favorite series, so I can see this falling into that category. But if I haven't read the first one and it's a whole series and I'm not going to get around to it anytime soon, I might as well just read it from the library and see how I feel. But when I did pick it up, it didn't capture my attention enough to keep reading. But let me know. This is another one I'm really curious about, if you read it, if you liked it, and if I should read it. Alright, next is Duke Actually by Jenny Holiday, and I'm actually going to pull up another one by Jenny Holiday, and it's So This Is Christmas. One thing about me is I absolutely love holiday Hallmark romance movies. Me and my mom and sister watch them every year, tons of them, like always recorded on the TV, and this is what these reminded me of. But I think they're not a series technically, but I'm pretty sure events in this one happened before this one. But I started reading this one before this one. I made it 52 pages through and I stopped, and then I didn't feel like reading this either. I think maybe the issue with rom-coms is if I read too many in a row, the formula is all the same and it just doesn't pique my interest anymore. I think that's why I've tried to start reading different romance genres, like small town romance, college romance, sports romance. So I don't know, this just, they didn't really do it for me, and that's kind of unfortunate because, well, I don't know about this one, but this one didn't do it for me because I really love holiday romance books. But yeah, this just didn't do it for me, and then it kind of turned me off from reading this one as well. And then we have Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really know why I bought this to begin with. I don't have the first one, and I don't have, is this the second one? Yeah, I don't own the first one, and I remember listening to the first one on audio during COVID when I was taking online classes at school, and I had an art class and I would just listen to audiobooks while I was doing my work, and this was one of them, or Kingdom of the Wicked was one of them. And at that time, it was like the first time I had ever listened to audiobooks, and I didn't retain any of the information, if I'm being honest with you. And so if I was gonna go in and read this again, I'd either need to reread the first one or, you know, look up a synopsis with spoilers or whatever. But that's a lot of work, and this is only the second one, and there's a third one, and I've just heard that, you know, it's very mixed reviews. It's not piquing my interest anymore. I think that time has come and gone. So I will be just getting rid of this. Okay, and then we have All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I was actually really close to finishing this on audio, but then it was due back at the library and I just haven't picked it up again. But it is about this girl who is a princess of an island kingdom, and she's been training her whole life to be the High Animancer, who is a master of souls, but she has to demonstrate her powers so that people believe she is worthy to be the monarch. But something goes wrong during her demonstration and she is forced to flee, and then she meets this pirate who is going to help her not get captured, basically. I actually did like this on audio. I don't read a lot of pirate books, and I did really enjoy it while I was listening to it, but I didn't even pick up the physical copy to finish when the audiobook was due, so I'll probably finish that at some point and read the second one on audio as well, but there's no point in me having it if I never picked it up in the first place. Does that make sense? Are you following me? Beautiful cover though, but I'm just not going to use it. Then we have The Faithless Hawk by Margaret Owen, and I'm pretty sure this is a second book, and I never even bought or read the first one. I remember the first one, called The Merciful Crow, seeming interesting to me, but I never picked it up. I never read it. I don't even know what this one is about because I haven't read the back because I'm like, spoilers, but I haven't even read the first one, so I'm just going to get rid of this. And then we have Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I have heard really good things about this. I really want to read it, but it's just not what I'm in the mood for, and I struggle reading a lot of just literary fiction because I really like fantasy and science fiction and everything like that. So, and I know this is a coming of age queer romance novel, so there is romance in it, but there is definitely heavier topics and more underlying themes in here, and I don't read a lot of romance like that either, so I know I'm gonna read it, I just don't know when, and I'd rather have it not take up space on my shelf and go to someone who's really looking for it and is really excited to read it. This is definitely still gonna be on my TBR, just not my physical TBR. And then we have Darius the Great Is Not Okay. I also still really want to read this, but again, I've never been in the mood to pick up a heavier book, or not never, just really not often. I did listen to the Kite Runner on audio, but it would have been really hard for me to physically read the Kite Runner because again, my brain is just not trained for regular fiction, but I know stories like this are really important and I'm definitely going to get around to it. It's just taking up space on my shelf right now and I don't think I'm going to read it anytime soon. It's about a coming of age story and he's traveling to his mom's home country for the first time and just what it's like to be someone that's raised in America and go to a completely different place for the first time and kind of feel like imposter syndrome a little bit, because I know I was born and raised in America. I'm half Palestinian. And if I were to go to Palestine or even Lebanon where my mom was born, I feel like I would feel like a little bit of an imposter because I don't speak the language and everything like that. So it's definitely something that I would relate to. I haven't had the urge to pick it up, but definitely still going to be on my TBR, just like with Last Night at the Telegraph Club. We're almost done, I promise. Next we have The Dating Dare by J.C. Lee. This was another one I'm pretty sure I got off of Book Outlet. She has sworn off of dating and she meets this guy and they play a game of truth or dare, and the dare I think is to go on 4 dates with each other, and he's also going to Paris in a month, so it's no strings attached, just 4 dates, see what happens. I assume that they end up together, but I never read it, so there's a lot of rom-coms out there with similar premises, and I've read some things that are similar to this, so it just isn't something I think I'm going to read. Next we have If I Never Met You by Mahri McFarlane. I think I'm saying that right. And again, this I think was pretty popular, but I have never read it and I don't know if I'm ever going to. So her partner breaks up with her randomly and they work at the same law firm, so she still has to see him every day, and then news comes out that her ex's girlfriend is pregnant, and then a chance encounter in a broken down elevator with the office playboy opens up a new possibility. Office Playboy is something that I love, but again, I've had it for so long and I haven't gotten around to it, so if I'm not picking it up by now, like I don't think I ever will. This has a sticker on it from the other bookstore I worked at when I was still living in Santa Monica, and that was in 2021, so I have not read this since then. Okay, we're down to the wire now. The next one is Gone Girl by, is it Gillian? I've heard Gillian Flynn. I read Dark Places by her and I really liked it. I've never seen the movie of Gone Girl, but I know what happens, and so I'm like, do I really need to read this? I might read it eventually, but just I won't get around to it anytime soon. And honestly, I don't even know how to tell you what it's about without spoiling anything, so if you want to know, just look it up on Goodreads, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows this by now anyway, but I want to read her other books. This one's not really high on my list because I already know what happens. And then we have The Project by Courtney Summers. I've talked about this in a reading wrap-up a couple months ago. I just really didn't enjoy this. It didn't really hit the mark that I wanted. It's about this girl whose sister joins like a cult, but it's under the guise of like a church, and she is a journalist and she wants to go and cover the story so that she can be taken more serious by her boss, and so she goes to infiltrate the project or the cult or whatever, but things don't go how she planned. Basically, the premise is really interesting, but there was just some aspects of the character that were not making sense with how she would act based on how her character was set up, and just a bunch of other stuff, so I didn't really enjoy this. You can see my review on one of my videos. I can't even remember at this point, but didn't really enjoy this. The last book I'm unhauling is The Renegades by, or not The Renegades, just Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I already unhauled the other 2 books like in my own time. I don't know why this one was still here, but I also, in the same video actually as The Project, I did a reading wrap up and a review of this. I really did not enjoy this. I listened to it on audio, and I don't know if it was the audio actors, but I feel like because the characters in here were annoying, the audio actors were doing a really good job, which in turn made it even more annoying for me, if that makes sense. It just felt like really juvenile and a little bit cringy, and I love superheroes, I love Marvel, but this just was not it for me, and I really could not read the rest of the series, so I really don't want this anymore, and I'm really happy to get it off of my shelf. Okay, well, that was 23 books that I have unhauled or will unhaul. It doesn't even look like I have space on my shelf right now, but I know I just have to shift things around and I'll be able to put the books away that I bought in my last video and are still sitting on my floor, so that's a good sign. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought about them, because maybe your opinion will make me re-add it to my TBR and get to it down the line. Let me know if you didn't like any of these books. That's pretty much it for this video. Please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Also, I know when I say give it a thumbs up and then comment, like, and subscribe, I'm saying to like the video twice, but I just like the way it sounds. It's like a very concise phrase. I'm gonna keep saying it, but if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!